but all of the parts are sung by Waluigi.
Why would you do that to me? Alright, that's about all I need to see. Yeah. So you say you wanted to surprise me with something? Was that it?
No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Uh-oh. Wonder... Could this be? Ooh!
For our third season, I'd like to christen with a sparkling apple juice.
Is this the end of our third season? Is that what we're calling this?
Well, what would you call it?
I mean, this was like our first long-term thing.
Well, yeah.
We could call this the end of season 3. We could declare that right now.
There's a lot of things to celebrate here. It's the success of the first long form. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can do this on camera. Except I've got the Coke open.
Yeah, that's why when you said...
All right, let's wait till the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
For now, let's drink bad things.
Here, you do the intro. See if you can remember it for once.
Welcome to the Breakcast.
God damn.
Take 2. Welcome to the Breakcast.
I would say you're doing it on purpose, but I kind of know you're not.
No, I'm not. Welcome to the Breakup, a podcast about breaking the things you love by giving them away.
Destroying the things. Close enough. Yes, it is the final episode of our long-form investigation into Kaiji Ultimate Survivor and the Lives of Lamora.
Yep.
We have reached the end of our perilous journey into the Netherworld.
We've reached
like Orpheus, we have returned, and Jacob has turned into a pillar of salt. I think I'm mixing up my mythologies here. Anyway, as is tradition with this particular endeavor, why don't we have you start with your final assessment of the last book of The Lives of Lamora?
We're not going to do more of a preamble. We're not going to warm the crowd up.
I got nothing left. I'm running on fumes here.
I think that is the problem of the long form, is that you and I are both sort of having this dead stare in each other's eyes, the love lost as we realize that it's finally over. It's finally done. And I can look back on the lies of Lamora and think back to that long lost time where I thought I was going to be reading about lakes.
Yes.
When last we left Locke, he had been pickled in horse pee. When we returned to Lamora, he was choking and suffocating on horse pee. There are many spitting plates near the tail end of this book. You discover to your horror that many people have lost their lives to a very sad and brutal cause.
It gets real George R. R. Martin at the end there.
Everyone... Well, you think more people are going to die than who actually do. Mm-hmm. And only one person gets mutilated. Which is actually surprisingly low tally for fantasy novels. And they deserved it. Compared to a lot of other fucking George R. R. Martins out there.
So many George R. R. Martins.
I don't think his penis gets chomped, though.
No.
Well, I think the biggest lesson I have here is that you can chop someone's fingers off. You can chop their tongue out of their mouths.
Remind me who this happens to.
The Bonds Mage.
Yes.
A man who very carelessly tortures a lot of people.
Yeah, he does.
And
I'm curious. Sorry, I'm curious what you think of the Bonds Mage, because that is kind of a sticking point between myself and enemy of the podcast, Jesse Cowell, and another individual who also read this book.
Now tell me the stick.
Okay,
that's what I'm curious
I
about.
like the Bonds Mage.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of this nuclear option that you have to spend ridiculous amounts of money on. The criticism of the Bond Mage. So I guess I should kind of explain this. So this is a mage who is part of a guild of wizards who have their own city in the setting of the world, and they are very powerful, but they charge an immense amount of money to use them. They're kind of like professional mercenary wizards. And I don't want to go too far into stuff that's not in this book that is in other books, but the idea is that they all are in an uneasy truce with each other because they don't want to get to the level where one of them is like ruling over the rest, or else it would be kind of apocalyptic, because they apparently destroyed some empire. So I like the Bonds Mages Bonds Magi as a setting element. I like wizard guilds. I also like the idea that they have to kind of be on an even keel amongst each other, or else like their power goes really, really horrible.
I see.
Jesse also likes them. A friend of the podcast thinks they kind of screw up the world, like that their sheer existence in the setting invalidates a lot of things because they are so immensely powerful. And as far as he's concerned, it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have just taken over. And my argument is that they can't do that, or else they'll just start like murdering each other and causing like the whole world to go up in flames, which is sort of what they talk about in the final book. But I don't want to go too much into justifying this book. I
personally would agree more with your assessment.
Okay.
It's like having in your fantasy setting the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Because that's quite literally what they do.
Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah,
they have a whole interlude in one of these books where they describe in very key detail what will happen if all of these people band together and go, no, we gotta fuck with this guy. We gotta just get rid of these people. And they just wipe out entire cities off the map. They just show up like a dozen of them or like 20 of them, and then there's no army and no city. And I think it literally says that city's still on fire. So I think it doesn't take a genius or like that power hungry a person to show up, see that happen, and go, oh, we can't do this that often.
We only get one do-over.
Yeah, and like, if you just roll in and take over, that means someone's gonna have to be in charge.
You actually have to maintain power.
Someone has to be, like, or like even a couple of people are gonna be king. And one of these people can destroy families, lives,
as you find out.
Buildings, I think what would emphasize, why didn't they just take over, is this particular Bonds Mage who you interact with in the novel is a sadist.
Yeah,
like
he's
a
horrible.
Horrific, horrible monster of a human being.
Yeah.
If you can even call them that. And if that is your standard of like, this is how a Bonds Mage is, then of course they just roll in and take over and then self-destruct and then...
But they aren't all necessarily like...
But I think the implication is that none of them would do that, and because the price is so high, none of these people will stick around for a client long enough to have this happen.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of a long digression on the Bonds Mages, Bonds Magi.
Well, I think it's it's worthwhile to get into that digression. It
is, because he's an important part of the third part of the book.
And the second, as a representation of this, the dark side of this light-hearted story. And for 2 of these previous podcasts now, you were like, this is going to get darker.
It's going to get dark.
It's going to get really dark. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I read through it, and I closed the book and went, oh, that was a nice cheery ending.
Okay.
This wasn't that
really?
dark. Yeah, this wasn't that dark.
Really? Most of his friends get murdered?
Well, like, compare...
And the whole structure of the underworld of the city? He lives? Okay. I'll give you that.
The underworld's blown up a bit, but, like... It's already been shown in the book that it'll recover pretty fucking
It could have been worse, too.
Yeah.
I mean, because the whole plot is that...
These nobles who deserved to die by virtue of being richer than him didn't.
Yeah. They abused his family? We should probably explain what's going on. So the villain of the book, the Grey King...
Caparraza.
Yeah. he and his sisters were citizens of the city of
They were
Kimura.
nobles
Yeah.
that
and
needed to be killed off.
Yes. And he came back and he doesn't want, like, he wants to just kill everyone. Like, all the noble houses by using this chemical that the book talks about a lot, which just makes you permanently, like, zoned out and pliable. Like,
You become more empty than Hodor.
yeah, it's called gentling, that's actually something we haven't talked about as a cool element of the setting. Very creepy element of the setting. But basically, he wants to set up a bomb that does this to all of the noble houses of the city. And Locke stops him.
Yeah. So I would profess that this is not an especially dark ending. What it is a very realistic ending.
I guess it wasn't dark, it was tragic. It's a sadder part.
He, like,
sadder
when he
back end.
wins.
He does, but, like, those characters all get killed.
Like,
I felt pretty bad. Like, I think that the novel is really effective in building up those little minor characters or secondary characters, and having them killed off actually feels quite, like, I thought it was quite effective.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think not necessarily that it held its punches. I think the novel did as much as it needed and wanted to do.
Okay.
With regards to, like, showing that Locke fucked up, and the joke in, like, near the end of it is the last flashback.
Yeah.
In that novel, and young Locke talking to his old master, and his old master going, "One day you're gonna fuck up real bad. And I hope I'm alive to see it so bad." And Locke's like, nah, it's never gonna happen.
Smash cut to it happened.
Smash cut, it happened.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I will also say that the ending of the book, the final confrontation with the Great King, is kind of I guess it is kind of uplifting, because he's got that moment where his friends.
It's sad.
Yeah.
See, I think more than the friends dying, because I have a heart of stone. You realize?
Yes. Well.
Is
see episodes 1 through whatever on this podcast.
Yeah, see all of them. Listen to us. We need you. That was a very intimate way to kill a villain.
Yeah.
Of just showing utter desperation and pain.
Well, just letting himself get the snot beaten out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then having it. Well, I think we talked about this in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So there's this thing about when he was bullied when he was a kid. He locked himself together with the bully so that he couldn't escape. And that Jean is going to come and he's going to beat the shit out of you. And that's what happens at the end. He says, Jean is coming.
You think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, he manages to sort of latch them both, and you're like, oh, Jean was waiting this whole time. He's going to save him. Mm-hmm. And then Locke just proceeds to, I think, literally beat him into pulp. Like, I think there's, like, squishing at the end of it.
Yeah.
Where he's
he just
crying
kills
and
him,
wailing and, like, just turns this guy into paste.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a sad or, a tragic or dark ending would be Locke failing at that.
Yeah, okay, that's there you go. Okay.
I think what starts off as a light-hearted romp becomes everything's got a cost, Locke.
Yeah. My favorite moment of the book is when, so the Bonds Mage, to go back to him for a moment, he, by using your name, your true name, he can do many, many things to you, like in many magical systems of fantasy.
And so, of course, he tries it on Locke.
And it turns out that is emphatically never Locke's real name. No. Locke Lamora is not even close to his real name. And I love that reveal when he's just like, fuck you, that's not my real name.
Well, I think the really cool part is he's like, I know Lamora is fake because it's like calling yourself Mr. Dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I know that this is like just another language name for like cool McEdgesword.
Yeah.
But I know your first name's probably Locke. So Locke, kill your best friend. And Locke's like, why did you think I'd settle for one? Why don't I have both of them be fake, asshole? Yeah.
He just murders him.
Like, he fucks up the bird, which the Bonds Mage is bound to, and then proceeds to, like, beat the shit out of both of them.
I can't remember, the bird is sort of like half
scorpion, half
That's
bird.
right, yeah. I forgot about that.
Well, half scorpion, half falcon.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly fucked up.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's a really cool album. I want to play that Bonds Magi in like a role-playing game. Like something like that.
That is a really cool part But I think my favorite part is almost near the end. Mm-hmm. And Locke has just saved all the nobles from becoming like soulless monsters. He looks over them and he's like, oh my god, okay. But he's taken all this money that I stole and all the other guys have stolen. And he's probably hit it. And like it literally cuts to his internal monologue being, sell this for all your goddamn life. Sell all of this.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's probably in the shit barges where we send all our shit on to get turned into fertilizer. You got to dig through those. And these nobles are like, okay, you saved our life when you really didn't need to. Okay. We won't kill you, and you're giving us the money back. We'll trust you. Oh, but also you need to destroy these boats. What about them? They're plague barges. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we heard about that. And the bad guy, he's going to, like, spread all the plague all over the city. You need to burn them up and sink them to the bottom of the ocean where all the sharks are so that no one will ever get sick. Okay, we'll trust you. We trust you, Locke Lamora. And, of course, they should never trust Locke Lamora.
No, even after he saves their lives.
And they wind up digging through all the shit barges. There's no money. Mm-hmm. And so
I forgot about this part.
One of the noble characters that Locke had been duping for most of the most of the books, realizes, wait, he said he was a priest of this like hidden thief god, right? Yeah. Why does that matter at this moment? Wait, I'm really smart, so I know this obscure ritual they have called death offerings. What's a death offering? Tell us more. It's when you, like, give up a bunch of money to avenge a death. Wait, where's the money again? It was on those boats. Like, the plague boats? That would make sense. Can't we get it? In the shark-infested waters? Where anyone who remotely looks at that water will die? And you can hear the sad trombone playing. Yeah. And I think that was, like, just the last hurrah of cleverness.
Yeah.
Of like Locke, as best as he can, avenges those deaths.
Yep.
He sends them off to a restful slumber.
So, what would you give Locke Lamora overall?
This has been a magical trip you and I have had.
Magical mystery tour.
It's been a magical mystery wonderland. And I think had I had just read this book from cover to cover, I would have been enthralled in a way that I could not begin to express in words.
Okay.
It would have been everything you ever wanted me. But with those long gaps we would take, I would let it sort of chill and settle, and I'd go, oh right, I actually need to read this fucking thing.
You grew to resent it just a little bit?
No, just like, oh, right, out of the other things I need to do.
The many things you need to do.
Well, like, I want to do other stuff. I don't want to go back to reading this book. But I think it's a solid A minus.
Okay. That's pretty good.
I think it's a really good book. It's no Dune, but it's pretty dang good. And I think that people who enjoy action books, who enjoy comedies, who enjoy fantasy, you should give it a read. It's real good at all three of those things. It'll warm your cockles of your heart.
Mm-hmm. If you have them.
Which you might not.
Mm-hmm. We're very inclusive here. With that being said, with Locke Lamora
we can put this book to rest.
Oh, I need that back from you, actually. So, on to the other side
of
things.
What have I made you watch for all these years?
Kaiji.
Ultimate Survivor.
So, it's been actually a week or so since I watched the end.
It's been a long time.
It's been a little while. So, the end of Kaiji is kind of ends with a whimper rather than a bang. He defeats, last time on the breakup, he was in a battle of wits with dragon enemy Tonegawa, playing yet another version of rock, paper, scissors. He managed to trick Tonegawa and won and was triumphant. Long story short, Tonegawa, his punishment from his boss is one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in a cartoon. It doesn't show you what happens, really, but it's pretty awful.
Well, we're skipping by some of the grisly details. How does Kaiji trick...
Oh, no, we did talk about
that.
Yeah, with the cutting off his ear, yeah. So Kaiji beat him, and at the end, Tonegawa is forced to literally pan-fry himself by...
if he's gonna apologize, he needs to mean it.
Yeah.
Even if your forehead is melting.
So the evil old man, who I wrongly assumed was not as much of the main villain as Tonegawa was, carts out like a big hibachi thing, and forces Tonegawa to bow in the Japanese style, with his forehead touching the plate.
For 6 seconds.
No, he's got to do it 10 times.
10 seconds. It's not times, it's seconds.
Oh, is it seconds? Okay.
Because he needs to hold it to the plate.
Right.
And if you jerk back or do
anything, you got to keep going.
It resets the clock.
That's right. So he maims himself, and then we don't see Tonegawa anymore. But then
there is that brutal shot of him like whipping his head back.
Yeah.
There are literally flecks of flesh flying off of him.
Fucking metal. So Kaiji wins 20 million yen, but he goes to the bathroom and he kind of decides with the rest of the poor schmucks there that he needs to take down the old man.
He does.
What is the old man's name again?
Hyodo.
So he wants to take down Hyodo, and he comes up with the stupidest plan that Kaiji has ever come up with. Stupid, brilliant, but still goes all the way back to stupid again.
Yeah, it does.
Long story short, he figures out that you can hide little slips of paper in some tissue boxes, and so he's going to do a rigged lottery with the old man, and he goes and convinces the old man to do this, and then of course the old man knows exactly what he's doing, so wins. So Kaiji just loses all the money. That's it.
Well, he loses the money.
Yeah. And
as he's making the bet, Hyodo's like, well, I don't really care about 2 million yen.
Or 20 million.
20 million yen. Like, I don't really give a shit. What would make it really interesting? How's about 200 million yen? Like, just 200. Yeah. But clearly you can't pay back 200 million, so why don't I take your fingers? A finger is, well, I'll say it's worth like 20 million yen. So if you lose your 20 million yen, and I get to chop off 4 of your fingers. I'm sure you'll win. You're a lucky guy.
Oh, incidentally, one of the poor schmucks picks up Kaiji's ear, puts it on ice.
Yeah.
So Kaiji loses spectacularly, and that's kind of it. That's the end. He kind of realizes what the old man was up to.
There's some serious cheats going on.
Yeah, he loses his fingers. Like, it does not hold back.
No, he loses them all.
Boy, it really just makes it agonizing how it's like, is this gonna really happen? Is anything gonna save him? But I should have remembered nothing has ever saved Kaiji except himself. So I think the ending doesn't quite stick the landing. I think it just kind of keeps going on a little too long. And not that I wanted Kaiji to win, because it kind of makes sense that he would just fuck himself over again. I didn't know how I felt about him putting himself in the position to screw everything up. And it didn't feel right. There wasn't stakes in him doing it.
I see.
I get the idea that he wanted to take down Hyodo, which is cool, but there really was no motivating factor beyond revenge.
Well, that's interesting.
Or it didn't sell it enough. Yeah. And so, because I thought beating Tonegawa was very satisfying. That was a really nice ending to this. And I don't know quite how you go from there to getting the money away from him again, because Kaiji is an eternal loser. But yeah, I didn't dislike this part. It still has that weird cracked outness that I appreciate about the show. The e-card stuff really does hit a nice climax, and I think the denouement is just a bit odd.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because Hyodo explains to both Kaiji and the viewer why he would do that again.
Yeah, and I didn't quite buy the explanation.
Really?
Yeah. I get that, like, there is a part of him that...
For the viewer's edification...
Yeah, you should explain this.
Hyodo, sort of mid this final gambling fight...
Yeah, the final gamble.
The final gamble fight, looks to Kaiji and says, you know what? Win or lose, you're going to really love this feeling of the adrenaline...
Yeah.
The excitement, the tension.
Yeah. He's become an adrenaline junkie.
Well, you've become an addict.
Yeah.
This is going to be your life now. And because clearly it doesn't end at this episode, it does.
Yeah. I guess that is true to life. Like there are gambling, like that's the gambler's fallacy. You think you're due for the next one. You're on a roll. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't quite as satisfying, and I just wanted a little bit more about why he chooses to do that, because it's such a mistake, because these guys have been like one step ahead of him the whole time.
Well, it's also like 4 a.m.
That's
at
true.
this point.
As we've said before.
Well, no, but I mean, like, adding on to that, like,
Yeah.
he should be smart enough to go, I'm really
What's
tired.
He's got massive blood loss.
He's got massive blood loss.
literally bleeding
He's not
from the ear.
eaten or drank anything.
Yeah.
He's just dead tired.
He's just gone insane.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I'll do it.
I'll
I'll win the challenge.
Yeah, I'd like it if like suddenly, so we're watching it and we're seeing Kaiji's perspective, and then we see the perspective of the other guys, and Kaiji's just like drunk, like just slurring his speech. He's like, "We're gonna go gamble. I got tissue box. We're gonna win.
We're gonna do the tissue box.
No, Kaiji-san, please don't. You've got 20 million. No, I gotta take him down."
Well, I think even if everyone saw that, this show establishes 90% of all people are serious losers.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
the men. God, fuck men.
There are no women in the show.
Well,
I don't think there's even a single... Is there one female voice actor? Like one of the coworkers when
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the
That's
coworkers.
crazy to me.
Well, as we sort of discussed while we were watching it, debt in Japan is a male responsibility. It just is.
Yeah, that's the cultural idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think... I think the show has decided that if a woman was presented with an opportunity, quote unquote, to
be too
make
smart
back,
to do this.
yes, they'd just be
Yeah.
like, no.
No.
Why would you offer that? I'm
Yeah.
getting out of
There's
here.
a certain sexist logic to that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if that's a knock against it, but it's interesting because I didn't really think about how lacking in that voice it is. Anyway, it's interesting. But no, I think like ultimately,
As a tangential
as a
matter,
tangent,
it is better than the live action show
Oh.
where the only added woman
uh-oh.
is a replacement for Tonegawa.
What?
Yeah, that doesn't work, does it?
I mean, I don't know if that's not necessarily to say that a woman couldn't play that role, but why do you get rid of Tonegawa?
It's a good question.
Oof. Maybe this will be a punishment.
Or like, I don't know if it's a replacement for Tonegawa, but like another like a Tonegawa enforcer.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know.
Kind of going against economy of character there.
Yeah.
Because you have the middle boss, and then you have the big boss. And, yeah. Well, anyway. So yeah, I think Kaiji Ultimate Survivor is definitely up there in terms of... Okay, actually, like, I was going to say it's up there in terms of anime I've watched, but in another way, it's not. I can't compare
You really
it to...
just like this ending's really...
No, it's not that. It's not that. Like, I was thinking about my favorite anime, which are things like Cowboy Bebop and Paranoid Agent and, things...
really, 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 really good stuff.
Yeah. But I really I find Kaiji endlessly compelling, and very, very fun, and just weird, and nobody's doing anything like this. I don't think I could put it quite up there, in terms of my favorites, but it's definitely like something I very, very much enjoyed. That sounds like I'm damning with faint praise. No, I think this is definitely up there with like in terms of things like it's just
not as
I
good.
rate it in a different way.
Yeah,
it's not I couldn't compare them to my favorites, but I definitely
but it's
think
still really good.
It's really good in a very, very different way. And like I said, it has so many qualities of anime I usually detest.
But does it well.
But does it really well. Well, it's kind of partially taking those tropes apart, but it also does them well. Just unironically. Because that's the thing with parody, is it becomes the thing it's trying to parody.
That is the real tragedy, isn't it? And I think in the first arc of season 2, which if you really do love Kaiji, you should watch.
I'll probably watch a bit of season 2.
I think it's the one time where it transcends it without becoming the thing that it's mocking.
Yeah.
I think that particular sort of arc is clean.
Yeah.
And it fits all of the rules of
the universe.
Well, of like the morals that the show tries to present,
yeah.
which is think logically in a desperate situation.
Yeah.
Don't hope for something.
It really
make something happen.
It is interesting. It is, yeah. It's very like what I would say anti The Secret. Like if you just hope if you think about it and will, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Like Kaiji is very rationality above all.
Yeah.
One must always think with one's mind and forget your emotions.
But it's also recognizing that is hard to do.
Yeah. Well, although and that is Kaiji's downfall at the end is he starts thinking with his heart because he wants to defeat this villain. He starts to think of it in terms of good and evil. Well, he thinks of it
like an anime.
Yeah.
I'm the hero. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
He's not going to think of this.
Yeah. Fate has designated me a hero.
Yeah. And sure enough, as soon as he starts thinking that, he fucking loses.
Super wrong.
Yeah. And I love that show for that.
Yeah.
And I think that is coming from shonen anime, which
yeah, it doesn't go with that like easy morality.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And Kaiji's a pathetic loser.
Oh yeah, he's the biggest loser. But he's a really lovable loser.
But in a city/country full of even more pathetic people, the mullet-haired loser will reign king.
Well, it's funny you had Waluigi at the beginning there, and I've often said Kaiji looks a lot like Waluigi.
He's a Waluigi of the heart.
Yeah. So I'm kind of struggling with things to say other than like the last few episodes there were only like 6.
Give it a numerical rating.
I'll give it a numerical rating.
Give us objective, cold, hard feeling numbers.
I give it an 8.75.
So an A-.
Yes, I think that is an A-. Because an 86 is an A. Depends on the grading scale.
Depends on the grading scale.
Yeah, it's an A-. Sure, yeah. Why not? Come out on top. So yeah, that's it for the long form. So we need to think of our final common theme for these 2 things.
What's our letter?
I mean, it's F, so I was going to say finale, but that might be too easy.
No, that is too easy.
Okay.
I refuse to take
veto. Can't use fuck because they won't let us do that on iTunes.
Frigged it up.
No.
Failure. Fumble.
I like failure. Yeah. So next time we begin
the Gauntlet of Guests.
The Gauntlet of Guests, which beginning with longtime fan, first time caller to the podcast, Nick Stinchcombe, who we have already done his half of the thing we're making him do. Mm-hmm. So we made... Do you want to explain this?
We made for those of you listening, and you are probably these people listening, we have made a long series of people desperate to share their opinions, and because they're friends.
I was saying I wanted you to explain dark Blart Side of the Moon, not the concept.
That's for the next episode.
No, we got it. There's a way things are done.
We made.
Just keep talking,
Nick. I will smack you. We made Nicholas listen to The Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes.
By Pink Floyd.
Synced up
to Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
And Nick is going to make us watch a selection of episodes from the yet another anime, Kino's Journey.
I promise I will not give you anime for a long time.
It's definitely going to be a moratorium. So that's going to be our first gauntlet. I think that's it. We'd like to thank Irritating Rainbow for the use of our theme song, You Broke It, from the album Where'd the Truck Go? You can find a link to that in the description.
Pop it.
Let's see if I can do this in one.
Don't spill it on your dang keyboard.
It's not going to... I just want to get the pop.
No, it's moving.
Oh, no, I know what I'm doing wrong. Not turning it.
No, you turn it.
I was kind of... Well, you kind of... There we go. Yes, so a toast to Loch Lamora and Kaiji Ultimate Survivor. Thank you.
We can look back on our many successes and think about the many joys we've shared, the misery, the woe, the work. It's all worth it.
We hope you've learned something.
Because we sure haven't. Final thoughts, Sam?